I go, is there anybody there? G'day everyone, Rach here from Book Piles. Welcome to a long-awaited video. Is the reading slump over? Possibly. I'll have a better idea in a month or so. But I thought I would do a video because I have finally been reading. And I'm excited about September. So I thought I would try and ease back in and we'll see how we go. I hope you've all had a good, read lots of books while I've been gone sort of thing. I should have looked back and seen when I last recorded. But I probably didn't read for a couple of months, and I started, and in fact I didn't even look at any of my subscriptions on my Book Piles channel. I keep all my reading stuff together and all my homesteading stuff together and all of that sort of thing. Anyway, so I didn't even watch anybody's videos for a while, and then I just started to dip back in and have a look and see what people were doing, and I came across one of the channels that I follow who looks like they also had a reading slump, and she had a video out about how to try and get over it. Were there two people actually? There might have been two. Anyway, I listened to one, and one of the things that they said was read something. The easy way for me to explain it is to stay in your comfort zone. So for me that's romance, but read something different within that genre. So I primarily read historicals, but I do like contemporary. And I thought, okay, I could find a contemporary, and I just perused my piles, and I came across, I picked up a couple and I just read the backs, and this one jumped out at me the most. Animal Instincts, Gina Showalter. So I read that. I don't know how long it took me to read. It wouldn't have been as long as a week. I didn't write it down. I haven't documented anything. I'm going to have to retrospectively go back and add a few things because I don't think I've put this on Goodreads. I have completely revised my Goodreads goal down to 20 books, and I'm still behind on that target. But I don't think this is on the list, so that's one thing. Anyway, so how am I going to structure this video? I haven't even thought this through. Anyway, so this is what got me reading again. And then I will come back and quickly talk about them afterwards. I'll kind of talk through the progression of how I came out of the slump, or am coming out of the slump. I don't want to say definitively I'm out of the slump, but I'm reading. So after or while I was reading that book, I went into the local bookstore here. I'm not sure exactly the sequence of events. Did I buy these both at the same time? I think I might have done actually. Or did I order that in? I went into the local bookstore, and they had a sort of side shelf display thing that they had. They do it periodically, and they sort of highlight either an author or a subject or a genre or whatever, and that's how last year I was able to get the four, was it the Rokesbury's, is that what it's called, the four books by Julia Quinn that precede the Bridgertons. It was when the Bridgertons were all hype, and they had some Bridgertons books, and they had these the four in this series, and I was able to buy them then. So they had a similar thing with contemporary romance this time, and I had a look, and I've known of this book, but because I haven't read anything by these authors, I just have never really gone ahead and ordered anything, but because it was there on the shelf, I was able to pick it up and read the back and have a think about it, and it is The Unhoneymooners. And really what got me was the honeymoon of a lifetime with her sworn enemy, so I was like, well, enemies to lovers is one of my favourite tropes, so I picked that up, and I think at the same time I also picked up this. Now, if you actually do know what I read, you'll know that it's probably unlikely I will read it, but I am determined to have Lucinda Riley's entire list, and so this is obviously my brain is gone. It's just been released after her death. It's not probably, it won't be the last book because we're still waiting for book here, book 8 of the Seven Sisters, which is due out next May. So that's oh no, don't start coughing. Hopefully that will keep me happy. Excuse I. The last book in that series is due out next May, and hopefully, well, not hopefully, rather sadly, that's probably the last book, unless they, her family, re-release any earlier stuff that she hadn't published. So I really wanted to get this because I am collecting all her books, and I think of what is already published, I think I'm still just missing one, and I need to just remember that next time I place a book order, especially through Book Depository. So I might read it one day, but you know, A Dead Bully, A School Full of Suspects, I need to read a few reviews and just find out what the scare factor is. If it's mild, I can probably get over it. If it's quite graphic and thrillery completely all the way through, I might struggle, but I've got it. So and then I placed an order for some homesteading books, and I think I just had a quick peruse, and this book came up on the list, called Book Lovers, and this is a new release. I think it's definitely this year, but I think it was literally hot off the presses when through Book Depositories where I got it. So if she's an American author, it might be, I'm not sure if she's English or American, to be perfectly honest. She's American, so it might have come out a bit earlier in America and a bit later in the UK, I don't know. So I brought that, and then because I've started watching my book people again, I've been buying a lot of books on Kindle, and I don't think I'll go through them all today. I might do a video about what's on my Kindle, because I've added quite a bit, and it would just extend this video too long, so I'm not going to go over that one today. So let me talk about my thoughts on the books that I have read in this pile. So, Animal Instincts. Can I remember anything about Animal Instincts? By the way, if this is the first video you've ever watched of mine, and you should know that I do the worst reviews ever. I also cough, obviously. I really don't want to be editing. I just want to try and get through this if we can, and I don't really want to have to start again. So I'm hoping we'll be okay. This was a nothing burger. If I had to put stars on it, I'd probably put 2 or 3. Nothing brilliant. I think my overriding thought was there were some bits where I thought this is not believable. So he's a billionaire CEO and she's a party planner, and yeah, okay. So and okay, back the pony up. She planned a birthday party for his mother, and that's where he first laid eyes on her, and supposedly he fell madly in love. And it wasn't until she was called to him or hired by him to do a party. I've got the parties wrong. See? BookTube's worst book reviews. This is flying by the seat of my pants with no thought whatsoever. She did somebody else's party and he hired her to do his mother's party, but really he's basically trying to get to her because he fancies her. and she has a fear of flying, and he tries to break her of that. It was a nothing burger. I read it. I think I read it relatively quickly, and it made me want to read more books. So it did its job, but then I read Book Lovers, and this is supposed to be quite hyped. I don't know. Am I thinking that? I don't know. It was it was a nothing burger for me. I feel that it was supposed to be a bit of an enemies to lovers as well. Um, but the enemies to lovers was very short. The enemies part rather was very short. It was an okay story, but it didn't float. No, don't say that. um, especially because there are boats on the front. I It was just a love story set in a small town surrounded by books. They both work in publishing, and she's an agent or something, I think. So they both are kind of working with the same book, but they find when they work singularly they butt heads, but when they work together they actually do really well. It wasn't a great enemies to lovers as far as I was concerned. However, The Unhoneymooners, this was much better. I really liked this book. I didn't want this book to end. So here we got Olive and Ethan. So Olive's twin sister, I mean, I'm probably telling you all to suck eggs. This has been around for ages. I'm probably the last person to read it. Olive's twin sister always wins things, and including everything to do with her upcoming nuptials, of which Olive is the bridesmaid and Ethan is the best man. Now, she wins a honeymoon to Hawaii that is non-transferable, non-refundable. Basically, you use it or you lose it. The wedding party encounters an issue whereby, just in case someone hasn't read it, does it say on the back? I don't think it says it on the back. I can't see. Oh, yes, it does. Okay. It says it on the back, so if you were reading, you would know. So the wedding, basically everybody in the wedding party, bar Olive and Ethan, get food poisoning at the wedding reception. So both her sister, does it say her sister's name? Amy. It doesn't say the brother's name off the top of my head. No. Not the brother, the husband's name. Both insist that Olive and Ethan take the honeymoon. Now, they do not like each other. The whole enemies to lovers thing lasts for a good chunk of the book before it flips to the lovers part. The banter between them is great. I absolutely loved, the thing that I loved the most was that whenever he talks to her, he calls her any other name beginning with O than Olive. So he might call her Olivia, Odette, anything, whenever he's talking to her. So, and she starts to do that a little bit, but it's mainly his thing. And it just made me chuckle. So their time on the honeymoon is great. She has just got a job in a small company, and the boss of that company happens to be staying at the same resort, so she has to get him, Ethan, to pretend to be her husband, to try and explain the whole thing, how they're together and whatever. So they basically have to then fake they have to fake they're married because of this whole honeymoon thing. So she's got to carry it on with the boss, which then gives her problems when she goes back to work. He encounters his ex, which creates some issues there, and it's just a really cool story. I really enjoyed it. There's a twist that I didn't see coming, and I felt for her, because no one believed her until they were forced to believe her, basically. But yeah, certainly of the 3 books that I've read in physical form, I definitely recommend it. I also read on my Kindle, so I'll stick in a picture, Kerrigan Byrne's The Highwayman, which I think was my first Kerrigan Byrne. Now, interestingly, one of the things I've been seeing come through BookTube is these tier ranking videos, which I like the sound of, and I think you're going to see at least one if I can figure out how to do it. The Highwayman features quite highly in a lot of people's ranking, and I'm like, oh, really? Yeah. I don't know why it was called The Highwayman, to be perfectly honest, because the only nod to Highwayman is that when the hero was a child, he said, oh, I might grow up and be a highwayman. He doesn't hold up any stagecoaches. She's not in any stagecoaches that gets held up by highwaymen. The whole title for me was wrong. The story. How do I explain the story in my worst review ever way? I can't even remember their names. There we go. So the hero and heroine meet when they are in an orphanage in Scotland when they are young, like 13 and 10 or something around those timelines, and they sort of stick together and help each other out for I think it's 2 or 3 years before they are separated. An incident happens, he tries to stick up for her, and they get separated. She eventually makes her way, I'm not sure at what age, but he gets sent off, and then somewhere along the line he ends up in prison in London, and she ends up in London. And then is this a spoiler? Maybe. We won't go down that track. So yeah, how am I going to do this? Because it's kind of a spoiler. Okay. Anyway, she ends up working for Scotland Yard, and she encounters a criminal. One of her jobs for the boss is to take notes of the interrogations. So she has to be in the room and scribe all the interrogations. And she encounters this bloke, this criminal, and he's known as something. Oh. And because it's here, I can't flick and see it easily. I might write it on the screen. The Black Heart of something. I'll put it on the screen. So he's really notorious. So, but she has this sort of physical reaction when she sees him. Like she is intrigued by him, but not scared by him. Anyway, it turns out that he's actually looking for her because he's heard there is a hit out on her, because she actually is the daughter of an earl, and entitled to inherit his estate upon marrying. And she, when she was a child, was informally betrothed to a bloke that worked for her father, and so there's a whole thing around this guy trying to get her father's estate. There's a whole thing with her trying being protected from being killed, and then there's the story of this criminal, and how he fits into the story based on her relationship with the hero when they were children. I think that's the best way. It ends in a happily ever after, but there are no highwaymen. Okay. What else have I read? I've read a couple of non-fiction things, so I'm not going to worry too much about that. I'm currently reading, because I think I probably won't do a wrap-up for August, because this is basically it. I am currently reading, I'll see if I can get the title of it. Well, I know the title. It's Voyeur by Fiona Cole. This is probably the smuttiest book I've read in a long, long time. I've read the 50 Shades donkeys years ago. I must have been watching something and the name caught my eye more than anything, and I wrote a few books down from watching this person and then went and read up about them, and this was the one that appealed to me. So I'm 60% of the way through that, and I've been reading it for 24 hours in between caring for my mother, so it's a bit hot and steamy to be reading, and then you've got to go and care for your mother. The story is she is a 19-year-old college student, he is a college professor. It's probably actually not a trope I would normally read, but the voyeur side of it was intriguing to me. So basically what happens is, through some mix-up in admin, her tuition scholarship grant allowance gets sent to her parents, who are currently desperate for money, and they cash it in and spend it, which means she's screwed for money. So her best friend tells her about her uncle's club, which is it's called Voyeur, and it is what it says it is on the tin. Basically, you go and you watch people do things to whatever level you're interested in, and whatever level they are interested in performing for you. There's no touching, no whatever. It's basically a watching thing. So she's like, I'll go and meet the boss, her uncle, the friend's uncle, and I'll see. And in talking to him, she realised, like, she'd be safe, the money was good. What other options does she have? So she accepts the job. Now, the college professor is one of the patrons of Voyeur, and he's got his own baggage, and there are triggers in this book, which I do not think, and I need to look it up, that I saw in reading the description of the book, but there are triggers for abuse. So he is a patron of the club, and he sees her before he knows she's his student, and he becomes obsessed with her, and then obviously she turns up in his class and throws his world into a spin. So we're at the point now where they know, or she knows, he's been watching her at the club, and obviously she's not happy, and he is sharing some of his demons with her. So that's as far as I've got. My plan is to do a video for September, which I'll come and talk to a bit more in a minute. I can start that video off, if you like, with saying about the rest of the book, or it's just another book I've read. I don't know. If you want to hear my thoughts once I've finished it, let me know in the comments. Otherwise, I'm not too worried about sharing it if it's not necessary. Okay. All right. So that's good. I mean, it's actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are 6 books that I know of I've read probably in the last 3 weeks, let's say, which is pretty good for me. So hopefully I'm coming out the other side, but we'll just see. So my plan going forward, I'm going to do series September. I enjoyed it last year. I've just watched Sarah's Nightstand video. I think I watched the Books and Jams one as well. So I'll link to one or other of their channels for their announcement. I'm going to do it, I think I didn't bring my page in with me, primarily from a historical, oh no, it is contemporary and historical actually. So I will be back, I will come back next week and do a video about that and talk about what the TBR is for September. I think there are 9 squares, and I think I'm not sure how many books, but I've managed to put some books in a couple of squares. So it won't be 9 books, I don't think. We'll see. On that point, one of the books I will read, and this is a public service announcement, you know, this beloved book of mine that I had to have a physical copy of, because if I ever lose my Kindle, I need a physical copy. This is book 2 of the Miles High Club by T.L. Swan. Book 4, the final book in the series, which I think is called The Do-Over, is due out on the 30th of August in my region anyway. I don't know if it's a worldwide release. I don't quite know how Kindle operates, if there are various regions or if it's just a blanket worldwide Kindle. But certainly for me, on the 30th of August, I can buy The Do-Over, which I will be doing, and it'll be the first book I read in September, because one of the prompts, spoiler alert, is finish a series. So I will be getting that last book. Anyway, so that's a wee peek for next week. I will sort myself out for that video and get it done, and yeah, hopefully I'm kind of back. I will just go loosely, I'm back, but we'll see what happens. I've got at least 2 videos in my head, which is obviously the series September. I really want to have a go at tier ranking, because I really enjoyed those videos, and that I've been watching. I like the idea, so I'd like to have a go at maybe tier ranking romance tropes. I think that's quite cool, hearing people's thoughts on the various tropes and what they like and don't like. So I've just got to have a play with the tier ranking website and figure out how I record the screen and record me and put it all together. Anyway, this has gone slightly longer than I thought, but yeah, I hope you're still with me, and I will catch you again next week, where I will talk about what I'm going to do for series September. Thanks everyone, take care, and I'll be back.